Hey guys, welcome to Denny's. Today we'll be going into episode 9 of the Weekly Loot Cave, the series where I bring you the most efficient farms for the most notable items of each week in the first Descendant. More specifically, this week we'll be going into a few farms, not as many as last week. We really don't have a whole lot of S tier farms this week. We do have some very good ones though, so definitely stay tuned. Before we get into it, guys, remember to like the video if I helped you in any way. Comment any feedback you've got from me down in the comment section, and then subscribe if you feel that I have earned it today. If not, next time I will, so stay posted with the channel. And then lastly, guys, don't forget I am live on Twitch 6 days a week. I would love to see you there. We are having an absolute blast. It's been a really, really fun time. And then all the links to the community Discord and the Patreon, if you'd like to support me there, are in the description below. And without waiting any longer, let's hop right in. So we're going to start off with the memory available from the observatory this week in the White Knight Gulch. This mission of choice is going to be the Order's Veil Barrier Deactivation mission. As far as the mission, it's a solid mission, and you're going to be getting blue brains here because there is a few elites that spawn, so a two birds with one stone type of farm this week here again. I believe there was one last week as well. And then as far as the roles that you are going to want to go for on the memory, defense plus MP recovery is a solid choice. You could also get some firearm proficiency gain on there, and you could get some gold increase if you need it. And then segueing over to the sensor available from the converter facility in Fortress this week, the mission of choice is actually going to be the outpost Valby farm located there. So it's a solid farm. You're going to get a lot of sensors this week if you decide to go this route. And then as far as roles, I would be looking for max MP without a doubt, and then MP recovery is a solid one. However, you can always go for something like max MP plus consumable drop rate, or max MP plus the character EXP gain if you're needing to have one of those to level some characters. It's always nice to have those guys. And then as far as this mission, I do want to mention that you can utilize the newly found kind of like Sharon and Valby combo where you're stunning the boss with Sharon and farming with Valby if you do have a second person that you want to farm with. It's a very solid choice. The boss, you never have to worry about the boss dying, but definitely make sure to just shrink your size of your Valby third ability down if you do not have a second person, or else the boss will constantly be dying, but a solid farm. And then hopping over to the third component available this week. Yes, we have 3. Sometimes it's kind of finicky and you see 3 available one week, but it's a good thing, so we'll go into it. It is going to be the processor available from the Echo Swamp in Meskeg Swamp. The mission of choice here is going to be the Tree of Truth, and the mission is a mid-tier mission. However, you're going to get at least like 5 ultimates per run typically with this mission, so a solid mission for it. As far as roles, I'm always going for quality of life with this slot because I don't think that there's any other roles that are worth it. Go for equipment drop rate and item acquisition distance on this guy, and you will not regret it. And it is a all-round solid piece to farm for, especially if you get both those guys gold rolled, and I went with max HP for the primary stat for mine. And then jumping over to the next set of reactors available, this is going to be for Jayber, Valby, and Gley. More importantly, probably for Gley, if I'm honest, but you can absolutely get some good ones for Jayber and Valby. So this one is available from the hatchery in the White Knight Gulch this week. The mission of choice is going to be the upper hatchery. Now, as far as the rolls and weapons and stuff, now for Gley, you're definitely going to want to go for duration or cooldown mixed with Colossus damage for the Massacre Gley build. A very, very good build, and I have an updated Gley build guide on my channel if you haven't seen that already. It's very recent. And then as far as Jayber and Valby, you can really do what you want. I would recommend non-attribute, dimension boost, maybe a little bit of cooldown or duration with Jayber, maybe a little bit of range. But nonetheless, you're going to be able to get a Python with Gley this week, so I definitely recommend Python for Gley. And as far as Valby and Jayber, really up to you. Divine Punishment, I think, is probably a really good support Jayber weapon. And then you've got Valby. You can get the Thunder Cage or some kind of mobbing weapon with her. I mean, the Python wouldn't really hurt either. She's obviously got some pretty good gun builds going, but nonetheless, a solid week for those 3. And then let's hop into Blair's Reactor. So Blair's Reactor is going to be available this week from Moongrave Basin in the White Knight Gulch. Now, this is the mission Water Cooling Recording Device. A finicky mission, but a very good mission. All you have to do is start the A point and make sure that some mobs basically walk onto it so that it stops going up in progress, and you'll be able to endlessly go back and forth for about 4 to 5 minutes, just endlessly killing mobs. And as far as Blair, really exciting. He just got some buffs. I know there's some pretty good builds out for him. I definitely want to start working on him. I would go for the Enduring Legacy probably with the mounted, and then go for like Colossus damage and crit damage, or maybe more like cooldown and cost reduction for the mobbing builds. But definitely Colossus damage and crit damage if you're trying to ever boss with Blair. No, he's not S tier. Yes, he's pretty bad still at doing damage. Compare if you compare him to descendants like Haley and Lepic. Nonetheless, I still think he's very fun, and I think he can be very good if they just give him a little bit more love. But all around, a very good farm this week for Blair. And then segueing over to Freyna. So this one is not as exciting because obviously Freyna does need a little bit of a rework in the general rounds department. However, the devs have teased that they are probably going, well, not probably, that they are going to be giving Freyna a little bit of a rework on her dot ability and just overall. So I do think it's a good idea to pick up a Fallen Hope. But before I get too far into it, let's go over the mission. It's at the Corrupted Zone located in Hagios. This is going to be the Deep Digger mission. It's a very solid mission. Obviously, it's like a supply mission, so you're going to want to shut down each bomb and stuff, but there's some elites at the end. There's two that almost always drop the ultimate reactors. But as I was saying earlier, I really think it's a good idea to get a Fallen Hope mounted reactor on Freyna, just because I think maybe soon enough it will actually be worth using, especially with the update coming on October 10th. Who knows, they might do it then, but if not then soon thereafter, just because they are prioritizing Freyna right now. Obviously, she's got an ultimate coming out, so they have to make sure that she is fun and worth playing. But as far as roles, I would go with probably duration and cooldown, or something like Colossus damage and toxic boost. Not too sure about crit builds with her, as her base crit is very low, but nonetheless a solid choice this week for mobbing. Again, this is not going to be a focus on Colossus damage, even though you can get it if you want. This is more going to be focused on a mobbing build with Fallen Hope for Freyna. And then last up, we've got our favorite, everybody's most played Descendant, Bunny. If you have not received or farmed for a electric and singular reactor this week, it is dropping from the Grand Square in Kingston. This mission of choice is going to be the Kingston Surveillance Radar. It's a very good extermination mission. It's a classic. It takes like 2 seconds. You go, start it, finish it, and then it starts right back where it ends. So it's like a very quick mission, and the mobs spawn extremely fast. As far as roles, I mean, this is up for debate in the community. Obviously, she's like the most played Descendant. I like skill cost reduction. I know a lot of you guys don't agree with that. That's totally fine. I just like to inch out every little bit of running that I can. You can absolutely go for the crit chance and crit damage build. I think that's honestly very viable. I think it's actually very smart, considering how invasion dungeons work now. You can speed clear them very fast with some higher damage with Bunny, and you don't always need to be sprinting. So yeah, I would go with something like electric or singular boost, maybe crit chance, crit damage, or for me personally, skill cost reduction mixed with any of those combinations. And that will do it for Bunny. And then guys, that has unfortunately been the video. I know there's a ton more Descendants to cover. I just don't think there's any farms worth doing this week for the other Descendants. Most of the other farms are pretty bad, just taking a glance over the rotation this week. Obviously, there's a lot of heavy weapon mounted farms this week that don't really work very well with Descendants. There's a lot of impact rounds that don't really work very well. But overall, it's a solid week. I want to reiterate that this series, I want to try and focus on very efficient farms and farms that, you know, I would do in order to get a reactor, and I don't want to waste a lot of people's times with like the very crappy farms. Like if you need a reactor one week and the only way you can get it, it is dropping, and the only way you can get it is from a bad mission, then by all means get it, go do it. But I wouldn't recommend, I'm not going to be recommending a lot of bad missions. I just feel like it's not it's not representative of something that I would do, and I feel like putting that information out there would kind of be misleading because it's not something that I would do. So I'm going to try to keep it to the more efficient farms each week. I hope that tangent didn't go on too long, but that's been the video, guys. I seriously appreciate each and every one of you. It's been an awesome journey so far, and we'll keep going. I love this game. I love this community that we've kind of created here. You guys are all so kind to me, and I hope to see you guys on the Twitch stream. Don't forget all the links for the Discord and everything in the description, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, great rest of your day, and I am out of here, guys. Peace out. Goodbye.